Welcome to Week 1 of Programming 2. This week we have a couple of different things we need to accomplish. First, we need to get the NetBeans integrated development environment installed on your computer. Along with that, we also need the Java Development Toolkit. This will be the platform that we'll use to build all of our projects for this class. The next thing is a basic review of the Java language. While you should have an understanding of Java, it may have been a while since you've used it, so we're providing this material to make sure that everybody is up to speed before we progress into the more difficult portions of this class. As you can see from the list here, the basics: program design and development, using objects, methods, basic user interfaces, data, control structures, and string manipulations are the things that we're going to concentrate on this week when it comes to programming. Planning your week. For each 7-day period, I've laid out a basic schedule for you about how you should attack this course. Now, this will hold true for each week. For the first 3 days, use this time to study the materials presented. On the third day, your homework assignment will be due. Now, don't wait until the last minute to begin your work. Especially this week, the homework assignment is pretty extensive because we are covering so much ground. You probably need to go ahead and look at it and then address the questions as you study the materials. That will get you done in a timely manner. Day 4 is when you should start working on your lab exercise. For those of you that are not real proficient with Java yet, you probably would want to start that a little earlier also. You may want to start looking at the problem and working on it in your mind until you have a better understanding of what needs to be accomplished. On day 5, your weekly quiz will be due. That's when you will take your test. Again, for this week, there'll be more material, and we'll address that here in a minute. Finally, if you get stuck on something, don't get bogged down. I typically tell my students to practice diligent laziness. Think about a problem. Spend about 30 minutes or so working on it. If you still can't figure it out, ask. The instructor will be happy to help you progress. For this week, we're going to start with the basics. Again, the first step is to get NetBeans installed on your computer. I've given you some instructions. There's also a short video on how to go through this. Then we're ready to start reviewing the Java programming basics. Some of the questions you need to address as you're going through this material. Java syntax requirements. What are primitive data types and how do we use them? How do we use basic data structures like if statements and loops? Best practices when building Java programs, and that includes things such as using classes and methods to organize our content. And how are classes used in Java? As far as submitting your assignments, for your homeworks and labs, there will be links in Blackboard with each assignment. So when you open up your homework assignment to get the instructions, that's also where you'll go to submit your work. Same thing for your labs. You will submit your work right through the assignments. Your homework assignments should be submitted in a basic word processing format, and it doesn't matter what word processor you use, whether it be Word or Google Docs or some other word processor. As long as it's readable, we're good to go. You can also use a PDF format. That would be perfectly acceptable. For your lab assignments, you're going to need to zip up the entire project folder. I will have more instructions on how you do that in the lab assignment itself, so pay attention to that. The reason we do that is because, especially if we're doing GUI style development, there's extra code that may be involved with the project that makes the program work properly. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Your quiz, of course, will submit automatically once you take it. They're in an electronic format. So what are our deliverables? For this week, the first deliverable will be your homework assignment. In general, your homework assignments will be written exercises designed to reinforce the lesson. So each week we will have a basic set of questions designed to help you understand the material and perhaps force you to look a little closer at the material to gain the answers required. Again, this assignment covers a lot of ground. We've got several chapters we're studying, so there's a lot of questions. Be prepared for that and be ready to spend some time on this assignment. Your second deliverable is your quiz, and as we talked about in the beginning, the quiz will be due about halfway through the week. Again, this quiz covers a lot of material simply because of the amount of textbook readings we have. So I've given you a little bit of extra time. There'll be 25 questions, 30 minutes to take that. Your Java textbook under additional resources will be a great resource to study for that. Now, one thing to remember, all of your quizzes, and this is true throughout the entire course, you only get one attempt. So be prepared before you start. Make sure the kids have something to do. Make sure you've got a nice quiet environment. Also make sure you've got all of your resource materials at your disposal so you can be prepared and get going. The third deliverable is your lab, and that's actually due the 7th day of class. All of our due dates, by the way, are 11:55 p.m. on the day specified, so you've got all day to work on stuff. In this week, we're going to have a project that's going to demonstrate your basic understanding of Java. Use NetBeans to build your program. That way we'll all have a consistent look and feel, and it'll make it easier for me to figure out what you're doing. There's also an example. I've provided a program that models how your program should perform and look. It's got all of the basic elements that you're going to have to do, so you can use that as a starting point for building your lab. Again, if you get stuck, don't be afraid to ask for help. Finally, this material should be reviewed, so you probably don't need to read every single word of every single chapter of the review materials that have been provided. I would recommend that you skim through the content, and if you run into something that is a little fuzzy or you didn't quite understand the first time you studied it, brush up on that concept. And finally, have some fun. I've been programming for about 35 years, and it's still one of the most enjoyable exercises I can do. Let it be rewarding for you. Don't get so stressed. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.